Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Oye Cinema Club. Bienvenidos. My name is Don Dino Spesini, and I'll be your host for today. I picked the movie To Be or Not to Be, the 1942, the original one. I'd never seen it. Someone talked about it, referenced it in a Criterion closet or somewhere else in an interview. And I remember I had seen the Mel Brooks version. So I was like, oh, I didn't know Mel Brooks did a freaking remake. So I want to watch it. And I decided to pick it so that I could watch it with my friends. So it's not just me talking about the movie, but it's my other friends that are with me. We got JP, Marina, Steve Dance, and Jason Eccles. So that's the reason why I picked the movie. And yeah, let's get first impressions. Marina, let's start with you.
All right, T. You guys already know 1942. I was like, what the fudge? I was hoping you picked the later one. But I will say, from a, what is it, a He-Man black and white movie hater, I actually thought this was cute. Like, very, very cute. At first, I was like, it was like all of this, like, praising Hitler during these times. I was like, what are we watching? Like, this is very super triggering. But then it was like, oh, it's a play. And they were making fun of it. I was like, okay, these are my kind of people. Got it. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't have time to look it up, which I try to do sometimes, just way my attention disorder is. So I didn't know it was like gonna be funny. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was super cute, really well written, and like I don't know, like I'm not saying I've never watched a movie from this era that like I feel like the writing made like super sense, but I am saying that this I feel like is the first time where like I really see the creative writing. It's not like, oh cool, we invented the camera. Like I really feel like there was some really thought out writing when it came to this plot, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. So, Merry Christmas, Dino. I, I enjoyed your old movie.
Yeah, kind of agree with that of the writing part of it. But let's continue. JP, can I have your impressions for thoughts?
Yeah. No, man, I was I like Nazi movies, so this was a good Nazi movie. They don't win, which sucks. I don't know. No, honestly, it's so damn hilarious because you could tell that this is such a product of its time, not because of the whole, Second World War, but it's kind of structured and acted out as if it were a play. I like to think that like most of these like American plays and most of these movies from like the 20s to the 50s for some reason have very convoluted storylines, or it's like, okay, this would not make sense or even play out as well as it's showing up on screen in the real world. Like this fucking movie has so many. It's almost like an anime where it's like you gotta calm down. Just pick a storyline. Just pick a plot. Just one plot. Just pick one. But yeah, no, this is a fun movie. Very clever. Take a shot every time they say the fucking title though. Um, so yeah, I would recommend this to like old movie fans. Like if you like black and white stuff, sure, and also like history buffs and whatever. Why not? So many World War II movies. It's weird.
Nice. All right. Steve, what about you? First time seeing it?
Yes, indeed. First time seeing this movie, and to be honest with you, I feel like based on how we review this thing and how you guys do, especially, I might have to see it again because I was like in and out and in and out and in and out. And what I did remember though is I think because I'm a big Mel Brooks fan, so I don't know if I seen this through a documentary or if I saw the remake, but I do remember the whole making fun of the Heil Hitler thing. Uh, and the part that actually made me laugh was when like Hitler enters the room and they go how myself and they go that's not the line. uh, to me that was hilarious. Uh, and yeah, I was also the reason I'm like, oh, I kind of need to rewatch it is because I was confused because I was like in moments I'm like, okay, is this the movie? And is this the play? And is this like I was just like so confused from time to time, but also it's because of my attention span. I think I had to watch the movie like Marina part one and then part two in order for me to like fully get it. But because I try to do it on the get go and doing a bunch of things up and down, that's what got me a little confused. But in general, I was just the thing I wasn't expecting because I was like, okay, this is gonna be I guess a comedy. But what I wasn't expecting was the drama of it because at one point I'm like, oh, this turned into like a very serious movie. And yeah, so that was the thing I wasn't necessarily expecting. And I mean, I know it's first impression, but like to me, another part that I absolutely laugh out loud, spoiler alert, will be the ending. Just that callback to me was just a great button.
Which callback? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. We can get into that a little later.
Yeah.
Um, Jason.
Yes, indeed. First time seeing this movie, never actually heard of it before. Interesting selection. I've never seen a Carole Lombard or Jack Benny film. Hear those names all the time, Carole Lombard from like a bunch of silent film stuff. So, she's one of the probably few actors that transitioned from the silent era into the talkies, interesting. And then Jack Benny, like you always hear about him being like this comedic actor, comedian or whatever, but I've never seen him, so this was kind of cool. I had a love relationship with this film. When it first started, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is interesting." We're dealing with like Nazis in World War II, and in the theater, and I was like, "Okay, this is interesting." And I'm kind of following on with the plot, and then like by the end of the first act, I was like, "Man, like I don't know if I'm going to like this movie very much." Just because like the direction was kind of going, and I was like, it's a comedy, and like it's labeled as like a romantic comedy even on HBO where I watched it, and I was like, this isn't very funny. Like I just didn't like. I could see the jokes were written in there, and the jokes were written pretty well. I didn't feel like the actors were delivering the jokes. And the funny thing about it is, as they were delivering the jokes, I was like, man, Mel Brooks, I feel like he would have really nailed these jokes. And then so I had kind of paused the movie, not because of that, but I paused it for another reason. And then I was just looking the movie up while I was doing something else, and I saw that there was two versions of it. In the latter version, Mel Brooks did the latter version. He's in it. And I was like, oh, well that makes a lot of sense actually, because this feels like Mel Brooks, and obviously this, clearly must have been an inspiration for him. I could feel it without ever knowing he was ever did anything with it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Uh, but then, like, there was a couple jokes in there that were pretty decent. Like, I mean, they were funny enough in their own where the delivery didn't even matter that much. One of the ones where she was like, uh, she goes, I've never dealt with a man who could deliver uh 3 tons of dynamite, drop 3 tons of dynamite in 2 minutes. I'm like, that's a good joke for 1942. That's hilarious. Um, like those people, we don't give them enough credit for where their minds were. Um, we think everything's brand new. But it was a classy way of doing it. It was pretty good. And then as the movie transitions into more of a war thriller, like it really starts to pick up pace. I think when Carol Lombard becomes a spy, when she like jumps in and like I'm a spy now, and she goes to the doctor's room or whatever. He was a doctor, right? I don't know. the professor or whatever he was supposed to be. Then the movie kind of picks up for me, and it kind of stays up in the air. Like it's really kind of like high stakes after that. And once I accepted that, like, okay, it's not funny to me. It's not really a comedy. Which I mean, it is a comedy, but it's not really a comedy. Once I accepted that, I was like fully into the movie at that point. I was like, and I wanted to like, I was attached to the characters. I wanted to see which way it was going. It just felt like it would have been zanier with this script and different actors. You know what I mean? But I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought this was a pretty good movie that I wouldn't have found otherwise. So those are my first impressions.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, so my first impression of this version, because I've seen the Mel Brooks one, I I haven't had it on VHS for a period of times, so I watched it a bunch, which just Mel, I love Mel Brooks. Blazing Saddles, still my probably favorite comedy out there. So to be or not to be for a Mel Brooks, I feel like might be a what do you call it? I don't know. It's not as known, right? Underrated, and maybe because it was a remake, and so it just didn't do as well, or whatever. But it's really funny, and I haven't seen it also in like 20 something years. I feel like, and but every beat that I remember from Mel Brooks, I saw it in the original, and I was like, oh wow, yeah, this is definitely Mel Brooks definitely remade it, and of course, I'm glad you said it felt like Mel Brooks because he definitely heightened, you know, the moment. What amazes me this film, I was watching it during siesta time, which wasn't a good time because I was kind of dozing at the very beginning because I feel it does take a little bit to really get going. This came out in 1942. Like, what we also did The Great Dictator, which came out in 1940. I mean, this shit is was coming out when like Hitler was coming to power and
Yep.
took over and invaded Poland and did all this crazy shit. And they were able to like give kudos to these artists out there, man, that are like, you know what? Like this we need to do something about it, right? And sadly, there are too many moments in history since then. Well, even before then, there are other even theater plays and all that, but during Cold War and currently, where it's almost like the only thing that can kind of get to some of these autocrats or dictators or wannabes, whatever, is making fun of them. Like they have, and I wonder, that was one thing that they talked about Hitler watching The Great Dictator and stuff, and he had been such a huge Charlie Chaplin fan before that. So just the idea that this movie, like again, like like it had some great bits. It had some great like storytelling. I wrote a few things. Anyway, point being, I really enjoyed it. I think I need to go and watch Mel Brooks's version now. This is so there's researching a little bit or looking up stuff after watching this one. There's some really interesting bits about it. Sadly, it was Carole Lombard's last film. She died on a plane accident during
Oh wow.
post production, and she was actually on her way. She was doing a war bond tour. That's how like in the moment and like how like her character being an actress and trying to like do the right thing and trying to like go up against Hitler, she was also in the midst of doing a freaking tour to try and get funds and all that. So just really interesting the history part of it as well as the entertainment part of it and that it's satire, it's comedy. So that's just a little tidbit right there. Now let's just get into it at any moment. If I have I'll start with one of like let's start with a serious point now of like a line or a scene where it's like, oh my god, like sometimes in comedies and satires, it's like, oh, this is very serious. But one thing that kept coming back to me that I was just like that I wrote down, and it came at the beginning and then later, and it just talks about like how situations get out of hand. Was the line, "There was no censor to stop them," right? Like they were gonna put up that comedy about the Nazis, and they got shut down, right? And so many times in history, shows, entertainment, everything is like censored. Sorry, this is not a good topic. This might ruffle feathers because of this or that, but then horrible shit is allowed to happen. And just the idea of like the like 2-bit players, ensemble members, like seeing those characters and just being like, there was no censor to stop them. And it came back a few different times. So I don't know if you guys noticed some of those moments that we get a little glimpse. The other is them talking about like always carrying a spear, always, and then they're basically having to carry shovels and are almost to the point of going to eventually be in a concentration camp. And it's just the parallels. So I don't know if you guys noticed something or something hit you kind of on a emotional, serious level, other than just like satire, comedy, laughing.
So as far
Well,
as oh, sorry, go ahead.
no,
Oh,
please.
as far as serious goes, I mean, yeah, it was tough, man. This is like always been a very interesting part of history for me, and it is very interesting that there's a lot of movies that um, speak on it, but then also have like a comedic twist or a different story. Like, if we watched Sound of Music before, like just it's just very interesting to me. It was such a hard time. People needed to find some type of joy, I feel like because it was like very heavy moment in history. So I think like this movie had a lot of funny stuff. But yeah, the little notes of like how it controlled things. Even like when I'm still not sure 100% sure who it was, but when they read that sign that those people had been killed, who were those characters? Because for some reason I thought it was the main guy and girl, well, the wife and husband. And I was like, dang, they just killed him off. I thought this was gonna be a love triangle about them this whole time. But yeah, just seeing stuff like that and how like notices like that were just put up back in the day. Like
Yeah.
they didn't necessarily have like the media outlets that we have when we're seeing this stuff. And so, someone has to put it up the wall and you're reading it and it's just like this person's being executed. These are the rules. This is just the way it's gonna go. And I do think it did a good job at like obviously being a comedy, but like showing those little things so like people don't forget like how serious um the situation is. Yeah. So I don't really have like a specific, but maybe that scene was kind of intense when they were um
Right.
reading the sign that got put up in their area.
All right.
Cool.
Um.
I hate to be a big old Chad, but I liked one of the action scenes a lot. It really stuck out to me. The scene where it's the guys in the other room, and I'm like, okay, we're about to. Remember thinking at the time, okay, we're about to get into some classic comedy. Like, there's someone in the other room, and he's like, got to be someone over here, and then he's got to be someone else in the other room, and he's getting, direction over here, and he's got to come back and figure out how to like stall this guy. Like, it's just like that's like classic in and out of the scene, coming in like a play or whatever, like just back and forth. But then it turns into so much more. It turns into like this action scene, where the professor is hiding, and then like this scene where he gets shot behind the curtain. We don't know who's being shot because all like the gunshots and stuff like that is taking place off screen. And then as soon as the gunshot, he tells the guy, lift the curtain so we can see what's going on. And then the gunshot goes off. And as like that happens, the curtain's coming up. I'm like, wow, this is like really executed well. Like, this is very exciting. And it's like, it's theatrical because the curtain is coming up and the thing is happening. So I was like, this is a really, really cool scene.
I agree with that real quick because I was thinking of that moment of like the contrast because it's like it's their realm, right? It's their turf, and then they even had the spotlight going through the whole theater, like the one spotlight, and it's like very reminiscent of any kind of like The Great Escape or
Yeah.
any prison movie or whatever, where it's like you're trying to find and the the fact that all the actors, all the Polish, what we would imagine the majority being all Jewish, are the ones all dressed up as Nazis running down this guy. But yeah, they had some really cool framing moments as well, and that was one where the climax to the shot being heard, and then everyone freezes, and it's the camera is from behind, pretty much like the audience point of view of the audience and all of them as the curtain comes up, and and he's dead, right? So I agree that moment was very, I think, also powerful and just like, oh wow, this is. I was not expecting this also this kind of action scene from a comedy. Did anyone
Indeed.
else have a scene or a moment that they felt the seriousness of it was unexpected for a comedy? No.
Well, I don't know
Uh,
if I could think of like any particular scene, but I always thought it was kind of funny that as screwbally as this movie can be and outrageous as in like how kind of convoluted the plot could be,
yeah,
the threat of death was always there. Whereas like,
yeah,
oh well, if we fuck up, like we're toast, and if we don't do this and we don't do that, then like all of our friends are toast. So like the whole movie just aired silly antics of the 1930s Second World War in Poland. Um, the threat of like of death was always there. So that I was kind of like, I was actually kind of surprised. I was like, oh, like as silly as this is, like they're still treating this very real threat as the threat that it is.
nice. Um, all right. Going into that, we're all a certain type of performer or artist in this group. Um, is there a character that speaks out to you, or a moment where you because I feel like this is sometimes those movies that either have to do with theater or radio shows or movies or whatever, where they do these kind of like stock characters, and so well that's why just the extras like, oh, I would be a great character, or I would be a great this, or just like the idea of always being like one upped, or the person that upstages everyone. um is there, and the idea, so this is kind of like either favorite character or scene, or maybe who you'd see yourself as. But the idea that the main guy, right, when he's pretending to be the professor, and they like dress up the theater as a Gestapo, and they're like, you gotta keep him talking, you gotta keep him going and stuff like that. Oh no, before he's the professor, when he's pretending to be the colonel, uh, and he's got no lines, and just like he's not able to improvise. He's like, oh, so they call me Colonel, what concentration camp, whatever. And he's like, yeah, and it's just this idea of like early theater memories and stuff like that, where the level of improvisation with like acting, like if you don't know the lines, it's just like deer in headlight kind of situation. And to me, that was just so funny because then you see him later on when he's being the professor, that he just kind of he knows those lines, so he's able to then just regurgitate that. But when it was just him in the spotlight of trying to come up with something that was not rehearsed, it was just completely stalling. And then him going outside and even being like, I'm running out of things to say. And it's like, you haven't said anything.
Right.
You haven't said anything. So I really enjoyed those small moments with callbacks, and yeah, there were many of those callbacks throughout the movie. Did you guys have any that stood out, or favorite one, or if you recognize some of the archetypes of performers in yourself or just other people?
Interesting.
That's a
One that
loaded.
stands.
I just
You
said it's
did.
a loaded question, but you're good.
Just real quick. I don't know if I like related to anyone like as far as like performance or anything like that, because a lot of it is like this actory actress archetype like type characters. But I did. I feel like I forget his name, but the one who sacrificed himself, the one who wanted to play Shylock or whatever, like
Yep.
very admirable. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't feel like he really got his what's the word? Not just desserts, but like admiration. Like he didn't really get his flowers for what he did. You know what I mean? He saved the day and he played his great performance, but it wasn't like much of a performance. He was just full on like trying to save people. You know what I'm saying? Like I get what they did, you know what I mean? But this dude sacrificed everything, and everybody did sacrifice, but he made the sacrifice. He did the kamikaze sacrifice. It's like, you're probably not coming back from this, you know? So I would say that guy. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry.
He did come from it though, because they were able
Did he?
to. Yeah, yeah. So that's where they came and they took him also. It was
Mhm.
just one of those like everyone else was dressed up as Nazis. He was the one that came out of the women's thing, not dressed as a Nazi. And so that's why it was like, we don't know if you're gonna make it back. But they were able to, intercept him from the actual Nazis. And they were like, we're taking him with us, like basically what they've been doing of just like, we're snatching him because you guys are a bunch of imbeciles and allowed this to happen, and we're going.
Okay,
So
I thought
yes,
that was somebody else they had did that with. I didn't realize that was him.
well, they did it twice basically because they did it with a professor when even though he had shaved the beard off and found a way to get out, then they all came not knowing that he had done that, and they like made him look as an imposter as well to drag him out
Right.
themselves. So they did the same trick twice.
Okay.
So in a way, that was a callback.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. I know your question wasn't really like favorite character, but that's what I'm turning my answer into. I really liked the wife, Mrs. Cruz. I think that's their last name, right, in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I liked just how quick on her feet she was in survival mode. Just like I can only imagine like being a woman at that time and just like all these men throwing themselves at her when she's married and just like not wanting to say the wrong thing because not only are they throwing themselves at her, but these are like men in like high power in this opposing um military, like, and I just feel like she just handled those conversations so well. Like, oh yeah, let's talk. Oh yeah, we'll talk tomorrow. Like she was really good at like sounding like she was agreeing, but like trying to get out of the scenario. But just overall, yeah, I really liked her character, and I guess I can relate, just being so glamorous and witty, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, and now that you told me that she died, yeah,
Yeah.
I like
That's
her.
Or
wild, isn't it? You know
yeah.
what she reminded me of while I was watching this? I'm like, she's an actress being a spy, you know. It reminded me of Hedy Lamarr because it's like Hedy Lamarr
Yeah.
basically did just this. And it's like at the time that this movie was probably being made, Hedy Lamarr was like deep behind enemy lines doing
Yeah.
just this, which is wild.
She was also Clark Gable's wife. I don't know if you guys knew. And it
The
almost reminded me a little bit of Inglorious Bastards. At the end, I was like, because I feel like this has a slightly different end than the Mel Brooks one. Like I think the ending is a little different. But when like Hitler ends up being in the theater and they're like, "We're gonna do it and we're gonna go there," I'm like, "Wait, are they gonna kill Hitler in the theater?"
Yeah, like I was like, did
I hope it did.
Tarantino steal this?
Yeah.
Even the
Um,
theater kind of looked like the Tarantino one too from the
yeah.
facade. That could be
Yeah.
crazy though. I really like Jack Benny as the Joseph Tura guy. Like he wouldn't such a like diva. I'm shit A-lister, like full of themselves narcissist. Like like it was always funny when like even in life and death situation, it's like he's not worried much about the affair or anything. He's worried that did you tell that guy to leave during my monologue? Like, man, what the fuck was that about? It really bugged me. Like, and always saying like, oh, and I think Maria is married to that famous
Yeah.
great son of a bitch, God amongst men, Joseph Tura.
You've heard of him,
And
right?
you know, Jay, like I really liked that joke, like as it was, but it just that's one of the ones that just kind of fell flat for me, just the way that it was
Yeah.
executed. I'm like, this is a really well written classic style joke, and it just didn't
But
work. I mean, for me, it just
you
didn't like it didn't do anything for me.
but you saw the callback, and then when it hit the dark comedy one, you remember because he did it a few times, and then I think finally the last time the one guy is like, "Oh yes, I saw him once before when I was in Warsaw," and he was like, "I saw him doing whatever Shakespeare show was. I forget what he said it was, but what he did to Shakespeare is what we're doing to Poland now."
It's a
Like
funny
just like the like basic, and his
Right.
face just drops, and I was like, "That is fucking brutal." It's
So
like basically,
was it like a compliment or an insult? Was he saying
Nah, he Robert Ebert that
It was an
guy in the
insult.
worst fucking
yeah,
way.
it's like
because he could have been
basically
saying where
he's
it was the bomb, you know?
yeah, well, I mean, basically, he butchered
Oh,
Shakespeare like we're butchering the Polish, right?
man,
Poland.
I didn't want to believe it.
um, yeah, that's a few
That
of
that was
the
handled. That was probably handled the best though, because that was the first time he took it. Oh, sorry,
hello.
it's a little
Oh,
lag on my end.
go for it.
Yeah, what's going on? Stop it.
when until Jason gets back, what was I gonna say? I don't even know. Oh, yeah. I was gonna say too, like, it was crazy how into himself he was. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, to the point where he broke character. Like, that's how that guy kind of figured out it was him because he got so angry about
yeah.
stuff. So, yeah, I will say that was pretty funny. Like how obsessed he was with himself. Like, this is life or death. If you do this wrong, like these people have guns and the whole squad, and he's just like,
Well, then, yeah, even when he was the professor and she was there, and she realizes that it's him, and he's gonna like bring it up, like, well, she's just blah blah blah, or and that's kind of like, the whole to be or not to be code, like what it actually means. Um, yeah, the real quick. So yeah, I think we're all kind of in a pretty agreement of how we see the movie. The other big thing that I saw for Carole Lombard is that apparently she was a pioneer for the whole working for a percentage fee of the movie, where I guess her usual fee was $125,000, but she decided to accept $75,000 and just over 4% of the film's eventual profits. And then she actually died before the film came out. So Clark Gable ended up receiving I guess 57,000 something dollars or whatever percentage the movie kind of ended up also making. But just see, to me also for the time period, more so than like the Great Dictator and all that, like she was like co-lead, almost more lead than the husband, because she was kind of what everything was revolving around her, of trying to figure out everything. So I thought that was pretty impressive and pretty huge. I feel like for the time and the type of movie and satire of her just, and like again, all these men after her are falling for her and her having to outsmart them, right? And not, even though she was kind of at times damsel in distress, at the same time she seemed to be smarter than everyone else. So I found that very, very cool.
You know,
Um,
I agree. She was the main motherfucking character. Okay, she was
yeah,
that.
yeah. So that being said, does anyone have any other things they want to comment before we maybe go into final thoughts or anything else?
Did anybody do the numbers? Oh, sorry.
Do you have the numbers, Jason?
I got some numbers for you. So this movie was made. It's kind of controversial because there's like conflicting things and there's like some stories behind it. I didn't have time to get into it, but I guess maybe this movie was kind of a start and stop thing. And eventually, from what I understand, it did 1.2 million budget wise, but then there's another report that it did just over a million, like 1,022,000 or something. There's something to that. There's something there. But then like it doesn't really talk. I couldn't really find very much about the box office on this thing. I see one thing that said the box office was 1.5, but then it's abbreviated by that being U.S. rentals. So I don't know if
Yeah,
that's what it made, but I would imagine that's partly because this movie probably wasn't released all over the world. It probably took some time to
right.
get to where it was going. Because one, people probably weren't watching a lot of movies at the height of World War II. You know, people were probably pretty busy.
Mhm.
Also, this movie probably was not played in Europe at all. You know, all things considered. So yeah, the numbers are probably a little fuzzy on this one.
I will say also they even ended up doing a radio show out of this because it
Hmm.
said that at least one, if not more than the actors, also did recurring roles on the radio, on a radio show later on. But yeah, so um, but yeah, 1942. Hey, let's go, let's go watch this movie, guys.
Also, maybe it was a little too close to home as well. But now that I think about it,
Yeah.
42 was actually a pretty big year for movies, wasn't it? That was like Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz and stuff. So, I mean,
But I mean, still in the height of it, right? But I meant in Europe, right? I meant in Europe
yeah.
for to see it. I mean, everything that I was kind of reading, a lot of people were like leaving the, because it starts again like same thing. I was like, oh wait, maybe this movie is different because it fully started Hitler wise, and then when it's like hired to myself, I'm like, wait, is that Hitler or is that Goofy Hitler? And then I was like, oh, it's Goofy Hitler. But a lot of people, like even Jack Benny's dad, I guess, like got up and left. Like a lot of people saw their family members dressed up as Nazis and were just like, I'm not dealing with this. You know,
I can see
especially
that.
when you first see them in that outfit, and they gotta be like, no, you gotta see it. Like it's just that's just the first scene. Like watch the whole movie. But yeah, so that's something that reading and stuff like that I stumbled on that yeah, it's a very hard kind of sell, I would imagine, especially also if you were Jewish, right? Or you were being affected directly in Europe to sit
Or
and
just
see
a
like
member, a citizen of the globe, really.
you would think, but yes, you would hope. Um but yeah, so that being said, we can go into final thoughts. I'll start it real quick because I feel like let me get this out of the way. Really enjoyed it. It's definitely I want to go. This is one of those you can study and rewatch it. I feel like jumping in with Marina said about it being written and everything and how clever it is, especially for the time, right? 1942, like it's really ahead of its time. I feel like on a different way of what the great dictator was doing with Hitler. This one is even I feel like more modern, which you can then see the fact that Mel Brooks decided to get it. But that I want to say is to the point of at the end when they're on the plane and it's like Hitler wants to talk to you guys. Also, the fact that that actor like completely like clamped up when he was Hitler and wouldn't speak, would just go. But at the very end, like in the airplane, he's just like jump, and the pilots just jump, and it's like the what they were doing with satire and like fascism and Nazis and stuff like that. It's like you do whatever they tell you to do, right? Like you just follow blindly. That's what it was. You follow blindly, which is literally what ended up being the huge thing of the Nuremberg trials and everything else, of like people just seeing their whatever godlike person they look up to, and it's like we're just gonna follow blindly because that's what we do. So I really enjoyed this. Definitely, I'm gonna recommend it. This is gonna be par and par with when I recommend The Great Dictator, or if I'm talking Mel Brooks, it's like watch Mel Brooks, but also watch this film. Like it's very, it's rich. You just, it's again, it's a historic. It's weird that it's not talked about more. I mean, we know Great Dictator from Chaplin, but I feel this is up there as well. You have also Life is Beautiful. You also have Jojo Rabbit. Like it's like let's make fun of Hitler. Let's make fun of these wannabe dictators and everything, and show how ridiculous they are. Really enjoyed it. All right, so that is my final thought. Marina, I know you might be needing to jet out because you're super popular on a Tuesday night. So how about you give us your final thoughts?
No arguments there. Yes. So my final thoughts pretty similar to my beginning thoughts. I think this was really well done. I could be biased because I love when stories like this are told. I just never want to forget history. And so it is very, very cool that they created this. And it's cool to see that like people even in the moment understood how ridiculous like someone acting like this and the people following them, um how it just shouldn't be a thing, you know what I mean? And it's good to see. I wish we had more stuff like this for current times, but maybe I'll make it, you know what I mean? We'll see. um but yeah, recommending it wise, I mean, I'm only friends that watch old movies are you guys, so probably probably, yeah. If I'm ever talking to someone and they mention that they like them, I can um I can actually have a conversation about it. Like, oh, I've got a recommendation. Have you seen To Be or Not to Be, the 1942 version? Like, it's definitely going to be um something I mention at a party to sound cool, and talk about some original like movie from this time. Yeah, it was good, and I was like, I don't know if I could like sit down and watch the whole thing again, but if it's ever on TV, I definitely could get a couple chuckles from it, and maybe like wouldn't mind revisiting things I may have missed because it did take a second too to kind of figure out like little things like what reality we were in and like what's acting and what's not. I kind of like that too. I got tricked a couple times. Like I didn't really connect with the other people from the play. So I definitely got tricked a couple times, not realizing that they were like acting because I forgot what they looked like. So I was just like, who are these people? And I didn't realize they were a part of it. So that was kind of fun. So it'd be interesting to watch it now, knowing what to look for. But either way, I thought it was really good. And I'm glad I can say I watched it.
Nice. All right. JP, final thoughts?
Oh man, it's a good A+ movie. Recommend to everybody. Also, like, yeah, I agree with that whole sentiment of it. Make Nazis dumb again, man. Like, fucking hate those guys. Um, Yeah, you know, this movie really does a number on like showing how dumb these assholes can be, and that's part of the fun. That's just part of the fun. Yeah, A+ movie. It's on Max, or I'm pretty sure it's at your library. So either way, go get it, brother.
All right, all right. Jason,
Yeah.
how about you?
I like,
Final thoughts?
I like this movie a lot. Um, a lot. Like, who would I recommend it to? I recommend this movie to a lot of people, man. Like, kind of like Marina said, and you said, like, I would recommend this movie to people who are into the Criterion stuff, people who are into like early comedies, good comedies, 1940 films in general. It's kind of weird that this movie just sort of got by me. It's not talked about nearly enough, especially for the amount of uh, people it probably inspired. Like, I wouldn't use the term personally that it was ahead of its time. I would just say that it was the first of its kind that I know
Yeah.
about. I mean, and maybe that means the same thing. I don't know. But I did like it a lot. Would I watch it again? I would watch this again for reference at very least. Um, and and it prompts me to sort of want to watch the one from the '80s with Mel Brooks because, like I said, I kept sort of seeing Mel Brooks in this thing, which is just like so surprising that I mean, not surprising that he did a remake of it. It's just it's right up his alley with style of humor and all the Hitler jokes and like I kept thinking like this thing could actually be as good as it was, it could have been improved upon. So I am looking forward to see what Mel Brooks, you know, did with this material. And it is a Criterion film, and I didn't when it started, I didn't really like pay it attention. I didn't like kind of process, and then like after the movie went off, I'm like, wow, this is a Criterion movie, and it deserves to be. It deserves to be talked about and studied and looked at. Just for what it did, like film wise. I mean, I can't think of a movie that kind of builds itself as a comedy that was this sort of dramatic and thrilling at the same time before this. It might exist. I just can't think of it. But those were my final thoughts.
Nice. I like what you said of maybe not calling it as ahead of its time, but first of its kind. I haven't heard that a lot or mentioned that way. So I like that kind of distinction. Again, is it the same or different? But I do like first of its kind also is because again, there's always improvement and all that. And yeah, I was thinking the same thing of like, is this first kind of joke?
Mm.
Is this where they first did this? So
Right.
totally. All right, we got uno más. Steve, Ades, TV. Your final thoughts?
The ending was hilarious. Those are my final thoughts.
Okay.
I left it right there for you to the yeah, because okay, is it a new gentleman caller or is it just coincidence that someone's getting up during To Be or Not to Be? Because
That's the joke.
even the guy even the soldier, the other guy is like, wait, I didn't get up this time. Someone else got up. So yeah.
Ah, man,
All
Maria's
right.
a woman of means, man.
Hey, she ain't gonna be bossed around by men. She does what she wants. All right, Jason. Any other questions you might have?
I do. I
Uh,
did have one more, and that's Steve. What do you got for us next week?
Next week, I am so glad, but so glad that you asked me. Bum, ba, ba, bum, ba, ba, bum, because it's that time of the year, ladies and gentlemen. We did a whole bracket, you know what I'm saying? Where we were voting week by week by week, all these different categories that were going on a showdown. What is going to be the next category for the next month here at Cinema Club? And guess what? Just like last year, this year, there's not just one, but two winners.
Oh,
Oh boy.
wow.
It was a tie. So now the choices are dark comedies or best pictures nominees
Slash
of
winner.
the year you were born in, something like that. I
Yeah,
can't remember.
yeah.
But the winners were Jason Eccles and JP. Congratulations.
Oh, we're naming winners now? Damn, I would have done
Yeah,
something a
It's
little more.
okay.
Oh, you just would have
We're
voted
all
for yourself
winners.
had you.
they won a special prize. And JP is next to pick in either of those categories.
In the year of our Lord of 1992, there was
Jesus.
such great films, such light-hearted, feel-good films, such as The Silence of the Lambs, Oliver Stone's JFK, Bugsy with Warren Beatty. I'm pretty sure it was like the corpse of Warren Beatty. How old was he in '92? But it was also the year that, for the first time in the Best Picture nominee category, was an animated picture, and your boy wants to be a goddamn Disney princess. So we gonna watch Beauty and the Beast. No take backsies. It's a tale as old as time, motherfuckers.
Oh my god. Good lord.
All right. Beauty and the Beast next week. The
We're gonna watch
1992 Disney animated film.
We're going to be watching, of course, an animated film because it's JP's pick. But Beauty and the Beast was left field. I did not expect that. So for JP, El Tondino, Jason Echo, let me see if the TV will catch you next week. Bye bye. Marina the
Bye bye.
Lake.